Welcome, loyal Cubs fans. Once again, a report of how the game went today, and it didn't go. It went maybe a little bit better than yesterday, but still the results. They ended up getting beat 5-1 versus Arizona. The Cubs had Hendricks on the mound early on. Striking out a lot of guys. There was a lot of guys working counts, so he got through 4 innings without a run. You know, uh, I would take that the way things kind of been going with him, other than a recent 8 1/3 inning outing where he looked like his old self. Then he hasn't looked like his old self. Uh, Definitely the 2016 version, and even towards the end of last year, he was looking better after he's kind of banged up last year. But just Arizona just did a good job, really working counts. I mean, they got some good hitters, John Jay and Goldschmidt and Peralta, and it's going to be pretty tough to shut them down completely. I'm kind of more disappointed with Cubs bats tonight. 1 run. I mean, did you expect Hendricks to completely shut them out? And then it's hard to win 1-0 games. It can be done, but I kind of blame this game on the hitting a little bit more. I mean, it's not like we were down really early like yesterday where, the bats are going to press more. But yeah, essentially, to Hendricks' pitch count was getting high, got into the fifth inning, and there's, I would say, one play that when a runner stretched a single to a double and Russell didn't tag the guy, and the guy did like a swim boot like Bias did. That he ended up scoring later, and so it could have only been 2-0. And Hendricks was at 106 pitches. We get into the bottom of half, and a decision was made to bring in La Stella to pinch hit after I think it was Russell that got on base. And this kind of worst case scenario, La Stella hits into a double play. So I mean, we start off the inning with the leadoff hit, and then that was kind of a buzzkill. And the only run we got was Hayward hit a home run. I mean, that's always nice to see. He's never been a big power guy, but he's got 7 home runs too, and you can tell you can hear him cussing when he's striking out or things didn't quite go his way most of the night. But he did hit that home run. It was the only run, and I would say our closest threat, the seventh inning, we had bases loaded. It's a kind of a 2-out rally, and Elmore couldn't quite come through and struck out. It wasn't just Elmore. We were just hitting on the first pitch, second pitch. I'm surprised their pitcher Buchholz didn't go farther in the game. They took him out after 6 2/3. We were hitting the ball pretty hard against them the last fifth, sixth, seventh inning, so they probably got him out just in time. But he still had a low pitch count, so I know he's throwing a lot of strikes. Not to make excuses, but I kind of will. I didn't like the ump's strike zone. I mean, I thought Hendricks overall, he wasn't his old self, but he did strike out 8. And considering that strike zone of the ump was very questionable, but Hendricks was pretty disciplined. He kept going with the low corners and wasn't getting a lot of the calls. Maybe between the umps and a few other plays, too, we could have maybe held them to 2 or 3 runs instead of 5, but didn't look like it would have made difference because we just couldn't get the bats going, get those big runner and scoring position hits. Is just frustrating game. We didn't have Chris Bryant, but Hap and other guys been stepping up. Hopefully Bryant, it's not the long term. They're not planning on putting him on the DL. His shoulder's hurting again, and they kind of made a decision that he's going to be out tomorrow. Kind of got me really worried when I seen Baez get kind of banged up on a pretty good defensive play where second play where a runner tried to stretch a single into a double. This time we did get the out. Pretty good play by Baez. He did sacrifice his body and got slid into in the knee pretty hard. I think it was just a good baseball play. There was kind of an argument later with Rizzo and that runner, it looked like, but cooler heads prevailed. You never like to see anyone get hurt, especially a star, where it can impact the game and the season. So reports I hear is biased. It's going to be okay. He did come out, fifth, sixth inning, so that probably didn't help the bats. He is our MVP this year, leading RBI guy and everything. So it's kind of a bummer. I like that play though. Too, it's good to see some good defense. Too, it's just kind of a night where we just couldn't get enough of those tough outs. Schwarber missed one in right field where there's not much foul territory, and I was hoping he'd make the play or be out, and then that ends up leading to a run down the road. So it takes great defense a lot of times to win a game, especially when the bats aren't going. I don't know if a couple more good defensive plays would have maybe got the hitters more fired up to come through. Hard to say, but it just wasn't meant to be today. So Cubs did fall 5-1. Hendricks, I'm not giving up on him. To 8 strikeouts is promising. To, I guess, he's just not getting, his stuff's not quite there. He's a little bit more hittable. Guys really work the counts, foul things off. And some of it's bad luck. It seems like the umps don't give him the corner calls like maybe they have in the past, and that does impact pitch count and everything like that too. So, the bullpen, Butler came in, didn't know what to expect. Wasn't great in his rehab starts. His ERA was 8.10, but they're giving him a chance after about 3-4 weeks of rehabbing. I think they had to make a decision, either bring him up or DFA him. So I think they're going to see what he can give. He looked good the first 4 or 5, relief appearances in Chicago, and then the last one he got rocked, and then it turned out he's injured. Kind of didn't expect to be out this long for a groin injury, but it is what it is for whatever reason. But he came in and ate up 2 innings. It was a fresh arm. He did give up 1 run the first inning. Then he got good defense in the second inning, and so he gave up 1 run in 2 innings. So not horrible, I guess, for a guy that hasn't pitched for Chicago since April. Made maybe 4 or 5 rehab appearances for Iowa, after kind of rehabbing coming back, and wasn't really looking that great. But he did pitch 5 innings and 1 run for Iowa his last outing, so that was more promising. So hopefully he can get back to that. It's kind of been like a revolving door with relief pitchers, bring in some fresh arms. We learned the news today that Britton for the Orioles, Cubs were kind of in that conversation, but at the end, the Yankees are going to trade 3 of their minor league pitching prospects to get Britton. He used to be one of the game's top closers. He's coming back from an injury. He's been looking pretty good. I believe the last 6-7 outings hasn't gave up a run. So he'll probably be a helpful addition to the Yankees, the evil empire, they call him. I'm pretty impressed that they got a lot of good prospects to be able to, looking at it, they gave away their 9th and their 15th best prospect, and 2 guys from AAA, 1 starter, 1 reliever. The starter doesn't have the best stats, it looks like, but then their best prospect is AA, in the low 3 ERA, and look like a 3-to-1 strikeout to K, or K to walk ratio. Their reliever is like in the low 2s. So it looks like Orioles are getting, chances are 1 or 2 of those guys could make the major league roster too. And so some of these trades you think on the surface, Yankees did better, but who knows if 1 or 2 of those guys turn into, help get a lot of wins for the Orioles, then long term they may have did better, and that Britton becomes a free agent next year. Cubs or anyone else could sign him without giving up any guys, and it's kind of where Chicago's at. I think they're kind of want to be cautious about giving away their pitching prospects, because that has been the focus. I mean, let's look at the roster now. Most of the pitchers are built through trades and free agencies, and a lot of the position players have developed from, inside. I mean, we did bring in some veteran uh, too, but we kind of done it internally, and then the focus is we're we haven't developed a starting pitcher from the minor leagues that stayed for multiple starts in a long time. Like closest one is Hendricks, who we got in a trade for Dempster, and we developed him up like a few years in our farm system. But it'd be nice to be able to draft a guy, and it doesn't look like this is going to be the year. Our best arm prospect was going to come up in a doubleheader, Adbert, Elzoy, but he got injured. Maybe next year for him, he'll at least get a spot start and see what he can do. And then we have some other guys in Tennessee right now. Duncan Robinson was her organization pitcher of the year. He was really awesome. I like this Thompson guy. He was a third round pick in 2017, so he's at Tennessee already. And he had a bad first start for Tennessee since promoted. And then he's looked pretty good, like giving up 2 runs or less, I believe, every outing since. So there definitely is potential. We just may be a year or two away. Um, Other news, I guess Darvish, it seems like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards, but he did throw 16 pitches today off the mound. I was told he looked pretty good, and he didn't feel any pain. We're supposed to find out Wednesday the next step. Ultimately is when you feel it's getting close is when he does minor league starts, and then they can make a decision within a month when they think he's ready to. So they're not going to just throw him back in the fire. They're going to see how he looks, and being somewhat cautious as a guy that had Tommy John surgery before. Although it's disappointing that you're not getting a lot out of him this year, there's still hope that he could recover, maybe be a playoff pitcher and look good down the stretch in September and then October. And you hate for him to get injured more serious where he misses all next year, and who knows, maybe even some time after that. That would be really frustrating too, especially the money they're paying him in a 6-year contract. I know fans are disappointed, but it is baseball. Things happen. Just like the Brewers, they lost a pitcher to injury, and they're dealing with some things, but you just have to grind through it. Speaking of the Brewers, they did beat Washington. Washington hasn't helped us out the last 2 nights, so they gained a couple games on us. So we're still ahead by a game and a half. We just got to turn things around. Lester he looked his worst start, his first outing from the All-Star break. Hopefully he gets back to All-Star form. We need him. We need the bats to wake up. 1 run a game is not going to get it done. Even with an All-Star, can't depend on a 1-0 win. I would take it at this point, but hopefully we get the momentum back. Some people are looking ahead. Oh, they got Chatwood the next day after. Well, Chatwood did decent, 1 run and 5 1/3. So it's kind of where we're at right now. We're looking at different pitchers. It sounds like the direction we're going is to get a starter or maybe another guy like that. Chavez, man, he pitched. That was a bright spot today. He struck out all 3 batters in his 4 innings worked. In his 3 appearances, he's got 12 outs in a row, and I think the last 5 were strikeouts. So, I mean, now people are talking about, let him start a game, which is possible. I mean, Madden did make a comment that he's versatile. He could come out of the pen, be a long man, be a closer, he could start. I think even if you keep these 5 guys in the rotation, too, they're going to need a rest as we play some of these 3-week game stretch. Have to figure out if they put one in the pen or one goes on the DL or how they're going to make that work. But, Madden's the creative guy. He could figure out a way to make it work. So, but anyway, it is kind of what it is. Disappointing to only score 1 run the last 2 games, but, it is baseball. You have some ups and downs. Cubs been averaging 5 runs a game, but they had these bad streaks before. So hopefully we can stop at a 2-game losing streak. We got Lester. against a left-handed pitcher. We didn't fare so well against that first game against a left-handed pitcher, but normally we do. We're like 17-7 or something like that against left-handed pitchers. I mean, we have a lot of good right-handed hitters that do well against those guys. And this pitcher we're up against, his ERA is like 5.3, so it's a big opportunity to snap this losing streak and then get some momentum going forward too. So we'll see what happens, and also every day, I'm sure Theo's working the phones, and we're not content to just, we're in first place. We can do it with the guys we have. We're looking to add another piece or two to see what we can do to make the team better, because the division's not over yet. We haven't clinched the division yet. There's still more work to do. So it will be interesting to see what gets done through the trades, or even after the trade deadline too. Like Theo brung in like a backup catcher that ended up doing pretty well, and it helped us out considering you never know what can happen. Like Wilson Contreras got hurt for like a month and a half, but uh, it looks like starting pitching, figure out, something, even though like Hendricks is the only one that might have minor league options. I don't know if you'd go that route. I mean, the last two games, he only gave up 3 runs, but he's not quite going deep enough. Didn't quite go 6. Maybe he could have pushed him to try to go 6, but he's at 106 pitches, and we needed to bring in a pinch hitter in the bottom half of the order. So I understand Madden there, even though he's been stressing to try to get guys 6. I like what he did with Quintana, kept him in there. He's getting outs, 7 innings, but it's another story when you're getting outs. Tougher to keep a guy in there when he's giving up runs and base runners and more stress. But we'll do it again tomorrow, and go Cubs go.